This is one of our more special luncheons of the year as we recognize the 2019 Joseph Branch Professionalism Award winner. At this point, I'd like to call on Maria Lynch, the 2017 Professionalism Award winner, to introduce special guests and speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I didn't see anybody from the Branch family. If that's wrong, raise your hand. We've had a lot of support over the years from the Branch family for this award. Today, we'll be awarding the Joseph Branch Professionalism Award to Phyllis Pickett. She has today as family members and guests her spouse, Dr. Maxlin L. Ellison, and as her other guests, Judge Vanessa Burton, Shelly Eason, and Corey Goldsmith. I would like to first call on her first speaker, who is Shelly Eason, to come up and share some remarks with us.
Thank you, Maria. Hello. It is good to be here with you on this beautiful fall day and on this wonderful occasion, celebrating Phyllis Pickett's Branch Award for Professionalism. I was lucky to be Phyllis's colleague at the Great County Attorney's Office in the 80s when she was fresh out of Ahoskie Legal Services. Working with Phyllis, the first thing we noticed was her easy smile and her great laugh, which puts everyone at ease right away. When you talk to Phyllis, she gives you her undivided attention and always makes you feel that you matter. Although she had no background in local government law, Phyllis was a quick study. She soon impressed us with her mastery of many areas of county law. In her own quiet way, Phyllis was the smartest person in the room wherever she was. But her intelligence alone is not why Phyllis is a great attorney. Phyllis has solid values, and she lives those values every day. She's a person of great empathy and integrity. She brought those qualities to Wake County government. They informed her work in the office, in the courtroom, as counsel for the Wake County Human Services Board, in every case and in every interaction. During those 4.5 years, I often sought her counsel on professional and personal topics. She was calm and insightful. Her observations were always thoughtful, helpful, and usually spot on, with one exception: breakfast cereal. Children will not eat shredded wheat. I'm sorry, no matter how much sugar you put on it. But that's another story. I cannot imagine a more perfect recipient for the Branch Award than Phyllis Pickett. Congratulations, Ms. Pickett.
I got it. And now we'll hear from Mike Carpenter.
Well, good afternoon. I am greatly honored to be asked by Phyllis to participate in this program today. She and I have known each other for about 30 years. Me as a lobbyist for the North Carolina Home Builders Association, and she as a professional legislative staff member. We have worked closely on a number of important legislative issues over the years. Phyllis has great expertise in lots of areas. In the areas that she and I have worked: unemployment compensation reform, workers' compensation reform, employment issues, and many, many others. Most people do not realize the critical role that the legislative staff plays in the success of the legislative process. They provide unbiased legal advice and expertise in the drafting of legislation. They staff the committees as well as study committees between sessions. They provide legislators with critical information, and they work very hard. Phyllis is a true professional in every sense of the word. She is highly principled and ethical. She possesses a remarkable institutional memory. She is accessible and responsive to legislators, lobbyists, and her fellow staff members. She's a team player. She's a mentor. And she's a lot of fun to be around. Prior to joining the North Carolina Home Builders in 1989, I spent almost 15 years with the Attorney General's office in various capacities. One constant throughout those years was my representation of the state in front of our various appellate courts. I frequently appeared in front of the North Carolina Supreme Court and became well acquainted with its members serving on the court during that period. Among them, Justice and later Chief Justice Joe Branch. Justice Branch was an outstanding jurist and an even better human being. He was polite and fair, but tough. He possessed a keen intellect grounded on common sense. These are traits that Phyllis possesses in abundance, which makes her receipt of this award named for Justice Branch even more appropriate. Thank you, Phyllis, for allowing me to participate.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Tawanda Foster Artis.
Good afternoon. What an honor and a pleasure to talk to you today about my friend Phyllis. I met Phyllis some years ago through a mutual friend when I was contemplating whether or not I would accept a position as a staff attorney with the General Assembly. In talking to this mutual friend, she said, "Oh, I have a friend that works there. You should call her up." And so I did. A complete stranger to Phyllis, calling her, asking her for advice about this position and her experience at the General Assembly. She was thoughtful in her responses, candid and kind in running through the pros and cons of accepting the position with me. Ultimately, I did accept that position, and my first order of business was finding this kind soul to meet her in person on my first day at the General Assembly. Since that time, Phyllis has become a wonderful colleague, mentor, and most importantly, a dear friend. We live in a time of social media and buzzwords such that it's difficult at times to see the substance behind those words or the people who tweet, post, or share them. When we think about professionalism, we're accustomed to hearing buzzwords like civility, service, and humility. I would submit to you these are not just buzzwords for Phyllis. They are simple practices that she exhibits in all she does. Let's talk about service. Many attorneys give their time to pro bono projects or pro bono cases. They do work for community organizations or nonprofit boards, hoping to serve in some way the citizens of our great state or nation and impact change around them. But there's a special class of attorneys who give their entire career to serve the citizens of our state. We know them as state government or public interest attorneys. Phyllis has spent over 35 years contributing to the citizens of the state of North Carolina. You've heard about her contributions through legal aid, then as an assistant county attorney, and now as a staff attorney at the legislature. It can be very easy for us to overlook the many contributions of state attorneys, and in particular, legislative staff attorneys. There are no thankful clients to shake their hands and congratulate them at the end of a long trial. There are no appellate opinions that mention their names or list them as counsel. But yet she has remained committed to serving the legislature and by extension the people of our great state for over 28 years. Phyllis has likely written and rewritten so many North Carolina statutes and state budgets over the years, we couldn't count them even if we tried. But yet her name will not appear in the Green General Statutes of North Carolina books as credit to her brilliance. Yet her impact is present and obvious to those of us who care to look. It takes indeed a special type of person to serve when there is no recognition involved. It also takes a special type of person, much like Phyllis, to remain civil and humble with her colleagues and everyone she encounters. In the legislature, we work at the direction of 170 members across party lines. This can be difficult, to say the least. If nothing else, it's difficult just to try to remember 170 names, dispositions, issues of importance, and things, and even just bill drafts for the members. However, I've watched Phyllis as we've walked around the General Assembly for the last 5 years. Not only does she remember the names and issues important to every member, she knows every janitor's name, every General Assembly police officer's name, print shop worker, cafeteria worker. I did a quick count this morning just for curiosity's sake, and I counted over 85 support staff people that work in the General Assembly. I promise you when I walk with Phyllis, she knows everybody's name. She knows when to ask about their children, when to ask about grandchildren. She knows when to ask about their health or relatives passing. Phyllis truly embodies humility in how she values people, no matter who they are, and seeks connection with them. This is a talent that is cultivated when you genuinely care about people. I think we in this room know how easy it can become as a lawyer to be self-involved or see your work as self-important and prioritize it above other things in life. But I've never seen Phyllis exhibit anything remotely like self-importance. Because she has exceeded everything we could think of as professionalism, civility, humility, and service, I couldn't be happier to see my friend and colleague Phyllis Pickett receive the Joseph Branch Professionalism Award today. Thank you.
I'll just echo one point that the speakers made. Phyllis is amazingly modest and humble. I called her to tell her she was going to receive this award, and she said, "Is this an award I can turn down?" I said, "No, it is not." So it's our great pleasure to award the 2019 Joseph Branch Professionalism Award to my friend Phyllis Pickett. If you'll come up here, Phyllis.
First, I want to say thank you. Justice Branch, Chief Justice Branch. Never appeared before him, but I've heard a lot about him. Heard about him through Mike as well. He was the kind of man who people looked up to as a compass. We all have a compass, and as lawyers, we have to have a compass. I can remember my very first case in Wilmington, North Carolina. I drew the toughest lawyer in town. Hands down, everybody knew it. I got condolences on the streets. I will not call the gentleman's name because he's still practicing law. And he was tough, but he was always polite, courteous, and respectful of me. And he kept his word in everything he did. And this was a very important case because my client had a 1968 Mustang convertible, the most valuable asset that she had, and ownership of it was in dispute. So it was a very important case. In the end, that was settled, and the lady got a car back. And I learned right there, well, if this is the toughest one in town, and that's how you're supposed to act, maybe I should emulate that. When I got to Raleigh, I was doing enforcement proceedings for the county. And Shelly, I might have told you about this years ago, I don't know if you remember it or not, but after one evidentiary hearing, the next day, an attorney came to my office. And he said, I don't appreciate a couple of the objections you made yesterday. And we discussed those objections. And at the end, we shook hands, and it was over with. And he said, I want you to know that folks have noticed you around the courthouse. They respect you. I'm not saying they like you, but they respect you. Well, you know, we all have a compass, so, you know, you can set your compass by people, and then sometimes you have to adjust your compass, and after that conversation, I had to take a look at mine and adjust mine. I had to calibrate it. My compass, it also it has a reflective property on it. You look at it, sometimes it shines right back at me. I look at myself. When I went to the General Assembly staff, people told me this is a political environment and it's going to be totally different from anything you've ever done. And I kept an eye on my compass. Then I wound up having to keep 2 eyes on my compass. And I've been there ever since and have enjoyed everything I've done and have really felt that I've made a contribution there. As lawyers, we are blessed with the opportunity to make a difference in so many ways. It doesn't matter if you're practicing at the state buildings or in the courthouse or from behind your desk. We have been blessed. We're so fortunate. And I'm so thankful to have received this award. Not sure I really deserve it. But when you read the list of folks who've gotten it, all I can say is thank you very much. And thank you. Hope you'll do the same one day and walk up here and get the same thing I'm getting. Thank you.